All right, once again, talking to a guy today, less than 300,000 in investments. He's gonna be just fine, he and his wife. Why? Because he's 67 years old, by the way. He only has less than 300,000, it's actually less than 250, it's 249 to be exact. 67, you only got 250,000 bucks. No way this is gonna work. It's not about how much you have, it's about how much you need. I cannot stress this enough. Stop focusing on how much you have, focus on how much you need. Killing me, man. I'm not this guy. I'm just sitting there thinking, all these people, you're 67 with only 249,000 bucks. You're not gonna be able to retire. You're gonna have to work until you're 90. Why? Why is that, guy? Again, not talking to this guy, I'm talking to the general public. Why is that? Well, because. Why? Because you need, 10, 15 times your income. He's making 100,000 bucks, so he needs 1 to 1.5 million. Yes, exactly. Why? Because why, fool? Because that's what some charlatans say. Exactly. All right, so let's put it this way. A man needs 5,000 bucks a month. He's gonna even have a car loan. He's gonna repay his car. 5,000 bucks a month. All right, so let's play this out. That includes a car loan. Because he's driving around an old vehicle, and he's like, look, I don't need anything fancy, but I'm gonna have to replace it. I figure it costs 30,000 bucks. You know what I'm saying? So he's basically thinking 500 bucks a month for 5 years. Wife's gonna need a car too. Hers will be 400 bucks a month for 5 years, give or take. We don't know. Nothing fancy, just get around. But even with that, 5,000 bucks a month, you're gonna have some Medicare thrown in there and some income taxes. They live in Texas, all in about 5,000 bucks a month. 3,000 for their expenditures, 1,000 for their car loans, and 1,000 for Medicare. 5,000 bucks a month. Because they live in Texas, there's no income tax. Don't have to worry about that. That includes property taxes and homeowners insurance too, by the way. And he actually did a good spreadsheet where he took his current spending and he put it on a spreadsheet. Yeah, 5,000 bucks a month. Where have I heard that before? Oh, I've heard 1,000 times a Sunday. That's always my default for people. I always say, what do you think? 5,000 a month? And you say, oh man, I could easily get by on that. I say, does that include Medicare? A lot of times it is. If it's not, we'll add another 1,000 bucks a month for Medicare. That's 6,000 bucks a month. In this case, it's not. It's including Medicare. 3,000 for consumption, 1,000 for car loans, 1,000 for Medicare. And of course, the car loans will be paid off in 4 or 5 years. Got $250,000 in investments. All right, so how much he's going to get between he and his wife and Social Security? About 4,500 bucks a month. All right, so 4,500 bucks a month from Social Security, which has a cost of living adjustment, which means it goes up. Part 2 of that is the car loan will be paid off, so the 5,000 at some point will be 4,000. Expenditures go down as you age, debts are paid off. He's got 250, 300,000 in equity in a home, no mortgage. We don't even need to tap that mortgage, but we could if we needed to. So how can he not make this happen? So he needs basically $500 a month from his portfolio, which is $6,000 a year, off a $250,000 portfolio. All right, so if I take my noggin here, this little noggin of mine, 6,000 a year off 100,000 is 6% distribution. He's 67 years old. Not gonna live, let's say 90. It's only 17 years, all right? All right, so 6% on 100,000 is 6% a year. 6% on 200,000 is what? 6% on 200,000 is 3% a year, which means 6% on 250,000. What is that? 2% a year, something like that. 67-year-old guy, 6%. I mean, give me a break. You can't make that happen. Now, in this case, he's going to take Social Security at 70. All right, so he needs, off his portfolio, he needs about $60,000 a year between now and by the time he takes Social Security, which would be at 70. So for the next 3 years, he's going to need roughly $60,000 a year, all inclusive. All right. So we fast forward. Let's just say he gets no rate of return on his money. His $250,000 after taking $150,000, $180,000 is worth $70,000. All right. Now Social Security at that point gives him more than he needs between he and his wife, because cost of living adjustments and the fact his mortgage, his loan is almost paid off on his cars. But even then, he needs $6,000. We'll just say he still needs $6,000 a year. $6,000 a year off a $75,000 portfolio. You know, that's an 8%, 9% distribution rate. He only needs that for what? He only needs it for 2 years, because his loan will be paid off. His auto loan will be paid off. All right. So he's pulling $6,000 a year, $500 a month, off a portfolio that's only worth $75,000. So for simplicity, he does that for another 2 years. That's $12,000. He has no interest. He now has $63,000. His expenses now are well below what we were expending before. So before, his Social Security was $4,500 a month, but he needed $5,000 a month. Now his Social Security is still $4,500, but now he needs only $4,000 a month. So where he's had a $6,000 a year deficit, he now has a $6,000 a year surplus. I mean, you tell me it's not doable? But how do we know this? Because he took the time to say, what do I spend? Wasn't some wild ass guess. He just said, well, this is what I spend on utilities. This is what I spend on travel. Oh, by the way, travel, he has a perpetual. It's not going to be perpetual. When you get in your 80s, you're not traveling so much, if at all. It's what you need, not what you have. So he's like, dude, you tell me that I can make this work. I said, yeah. Worst case scenario too. I mean, look, man, the worst case scenario is you get nuked, all right? Worst case scenario, you lose all your investable assets. You're down to nothing, honey. Even then, your Social Security is paying all your bills. So even then, you have a 0% probability of success. That means you have no retirement, you have no liquid assets left. And we'll just say you spend all your Social Security money. You died, but just say you did. Can you get by on $4,500 a month with no debt in your late 70s and 80s? Of course you can. That's not going to happen here because he still has some investable assets. Even if he's not making any interest. That investable assets will never be exhausted simply because he's making more from Social Security than what's going out the door. So he's adding to his portfolio each and every month. It might not be much to leave behind. Well, he's leaving behind a $300,000 house. So the worst case scenario is you tap into that $300,000 house. We'll say a 50% you get from a reverse mortgage. You spend that freaking $150,000 as a line of credit each and every month. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's what you need. It's not what you have. I'd love to hear your thoughts.